Kevin Denihan, Limerick minor football manager. I suppose, Kevin, what's the mood like in the camp as you prepare for a first minor Munster final in 23 years?
Yeah, look, Jack, there's a great buzz around the camp. We've a very excited panel, very excited management team, and it's where we wanted to be. Like if you asked me back in January that we'd be still playing football in August and preparing for a Munster final, I would have bitten your hand off. But certainly the boys were fairly hyper now the last few days, which is to be expected, and it's a good thing too. So it was a bit of a job to bring them down a peg or two, but look, once we started our first session back last Tuesday night, they were straight into the zone again, and they know the job in hand, and they were ready for us straight away.
And just before we get on to Cork in the Munster final on Wednesday, just looking back on your journey so far, in the quarter-final, it was kind of a case of taking it out against Tip, but against Clare, you really flourished, and it shows both sides of the teams that they can grind it out, but they also have a load of skill.
Yeah, like the game against Tipperary, if you watch it back, there was definite nerves there. It's a big deal for these young lads. They're still only 16, 17 years of age, and a lot of them wouldn't have played in big stadiums like the Gaelic grounds, and like there was only Darren Murray was the only lad that would have played minor for us last year. So like we had a whole new team this year. But as the game went on, we grew into it. And we certainly settled after the first quarter, into the second quarter. And then we kind of held on in the end against Tip. Like we missed several chances. But look, that's the first day out. Mistakes going to be made. But everything we asked of the boys, they did it. And that night it was all about just getting a result, getting over Tipperary, and then getting on to the next game then against Clare. We had a bit of homework done on Clare. Like the semi-final was never ever mentioned. I'm probably harping on about it now the whole time, but it was always just the Clare game was game 6. That's all it was. It wasn't a semi-final. It wasn't one game out from Munster final. It was just next game, game 6. So like we said our stall, first quarter was keep it tight, because we saw what they did to Limerick last year, and we saw what they did to other teams in previous years. They really do hit hard in the first 15 minutes. So it was all about just keeping it tight. We had a bit of a breeze, but that didn't bother us. But we really kind of hit it home to the lads at the first water break. Right, let's kick on now. We're only a point or two down. Let's kick on. By God, did they do that? 1-7 to 2 points in the second quarter was huge. So that was testament to the lads. So then obviously again they grew into it, kicked on then again in the third quarter. They won the third quarter again by I think it was 2 points again. And then on the second water break, then going into the last quarter, it was all about just any chance at all, just keep the scoreboard ticking over. Don't concede the goal. I said to them at the water break, if we don't concede the goal, we win the game. It's as simple as that. They weren't going to win the game on points, and it was great for the lads to get a clean sheet, and they were brilliant in those closing stages.
And heading into a minor football final, I suppose these lads are only 17 years of age, but they've shown a great mentality, which will only bode well for you heading into a game of this magnitude.
Oh, definitely. Like they're a very mature bunch, and like a lot of these lads would have, like they're very strong mentally as well, and like they would have played in big games before, like there's some of those lads, they're multi-talented sportsmen, like Rory Cronin there playing basketball, and Darren Murray, Stephen Kye, just to name a couple lads playing rugby. Like they would have played Munster Junior Cup and all this kind of stuff. Like they know what it takes to play in big games, and we could just literally coach lads best we could, sticking to the process, knowing what they're good at, and once they've done that, then they couldn't do any more. And thankfully, we got over Tipperary, kicked on then against Clare, and now we're playing against the big boys.
The big boys. You've made 3 changes to the team. You've Michael Kilbridge and Stephen Kiley come back into the side, and you've Sean Geraghty then in corner forward. I suppose, unfortunately, Cathal O'Mahony, your vice captain, won't make the side. So what was your thinking going into the game? Obviously, some were enforced and some of them were obviously a decision.
Yeah, like Michael Kilbridge and Stephen Kiley would have started against Tipperary, and they had phenomenal games that night. Like Stephen, it's his first year in with us. He didn't play any of the last 3 years with the academy. He's really made number 7 jersey his own. He's really attack minded. You can really see the rugby coming out of him with his physicality, his tackling technique, Michael then is under 16. He's underage again next year. Real tigerish, tight cornerback. Just from talking to the corner forwards, nobody likes marking him. You know, he's just one of these lads. He doesn't give you an inch. So like, you know, like the two lads that were played last week, you know, Cahill obviously gave us 45 minutes, done a really, really good job against Clare, emptied the tank, you know, and he couldn't give us any more. Then Callum Boyle came on. Colin Quigley then just replaced Michael last week against Clare. Again, Colin's a quality footballer. You know, he's tall, he's imposing, you know, and he's well able to play ball. You know, so they were lucky not to start, but it shows the strength and depth of our squad. And then Sean Garrett then has been shown really, really well in training in recent weeks. He wasn't happy not to be starting, you know, but we pulled him aside and we said, look, we need players to finish the game. And, you know, he's really, really taken on the mantle of coming on, finishing out the game. And like Ronan's done nothing wrong. You know, Ronan Cork, he scored a crucial goal last week. And like he's a really good man to win a ball, lay it off, make the right decisions. But just with Sean, just the way we're going to be setting out Wednesday night is we just feel that Sean just picked Ronan. But as I said, Ronan, I'm sure we'll see some game time and he'll have a big say in the game tomorrow night. Yeah,
and you're obviously facing Cork, who beat Kerry in the semi-final, and Kerry kind of had a monopoly in this competition, winning 7 or 8 in a row at this stage. What's the feeling like ahead of Cork, knowing that they haven't won a championship in 11 years, but they are Cork at the end of the day?
They are. Look, like, we know what Cork are. You know, they're always thereabouts. They do compete. Like last year, Limerick would have been happy to win a game in Munster. You know, whereas Cork wouldn't have been happy if they didn't win Munster and then compete then for the All-Ireland. Like, we know the task ahead of us. You know, and like we know we're coming in as underdogs, but that's exactly what we want. You know, this is a carefree bunch, and nothing intimidates them. You know, and the occasion won't faze them. Like we put very little pressure on them. You know, it's just preparing for another game. That's the way we've looked at it. But as I say, you know, it is a Munster final at the end of the day. But as I say, it's never been mentioned. So whether it was going to be Cork and Kerry, or even you know, like I know Waterford in that side of the draw as well, but like chances are we're going to be meeting Cork and Kerry, but either or, we were ready for whoever it was. We've done a homework on Cork. You know, we obviously started our game against Kerry, and they're a very, very strong physical team, as all Cork teams are, and they're well able to play football as well. So, but look, these are the games you want to be playing in. You know, as a management team, as players, you know, supporters, you know, these are big days. We don't get them too often, but when you do, let's go and enjoy it.
Yeah, and it is a big day, and it's fairly great for the squad as a whole. I think that it's going to be 4,500 in Semple Stadium that allows their parents to go, and it could be one of the first times they've seen their kids play in a long time. And once they're fine, there's no better place to return to, really.
Oh, definitely. Like it was tough now the last couple of games. You know, with only being 500. And I'm sure, like, that was the one thing we said to the parents, you know, you look after tickets, don't let the players look after that side of things. And, you know, so I'm sure they were bombarded with text messages and phone calls from friends and family looking to see the lads playing. And it's a big deal. You know, it is minor football at the end of the day. And, you know, they don't get too many chances to play county football. So when they do, they want to see it. And, you know, it's the times we're in. But thankfully, you know, there's 4,500 people going to be there now tomorrow night. That's going to be fantastic, you know, and like it's going to be a big stadium, Semple Stadium. A lot of lads won't have played there before, if any of them would have played there before. But you know, it's a famous stadium, and Limerick have won many an important game there. And look, who's to say we can't do the same tomorrow night?